So, character pack builds, or character builds as I've conveniently yet confusingly titled them, will cover nearly every heister in the game, but not all of them. There are 4 characters in Payday 2 who are not part of any paid or free DLC and thus have no iconic weapon or melee. Dallas, Chains, Hoxton, Houston, we'll talk Old Hoxton sometime later, and Wolf, being the first 4 characters in-game, predate the game's DLC. This was back when Payday 2 was a standalone game with 5 promised DLCs and a difficulty as gritty and invigorating as David Goldfarb's graying beard stubble. Yep, that's right, it's time we talk about not 2, not 3, but 4 different builds about our 4 OG heisters. So let's talk the classic heisters from Payday the Heist and how we can honor their legacy in Payday 2. To accomplish this, I started with the weapon classifications from Payday the Heist. I didn't play a tremendous amount of the first Payday, honestly. Steve, Dan, and I finished every heist save for the DLC ones, and while we did take on the Overdrill, Dan went on to grind all the way to the level cap through Overdrill, whereas I stopped around level 80 or so. After grabbing that information, I then looked up each heister in Payday 2 to see their skill tree from the original game, as well as their perk deck and related skill tree in 2. And I've tried to use weaponry from Payday the Heist for their respective skill tree along with their perk deck and Payday 2 skill trees in an attempt to create some homogenized blend of old style and new sensibilities. That said, I did run into some problems, and we'll talk about them when we get to them. How about we start our story with Dallas, the original classic of the original classics. Nathan Steele is a 44-year-old Chicagoan with ties to the old Italian mob. I like to imagine he clung to the underside of the old Merchandise Mart CTA station and used a sufficiently powerful Nerf dart to sting the hands of former shoppers so he could scramble in and take their things, but the actual story is more that he turned 2 mob families against each other for his financial gain and then left, which just isn't as interesting. They started placing higher and higher bounties on Dallas, and since then he's wound up in DC and is seemingly the de facto head of crime now when Bane's not talking. He was even meant to be a contractor in an early version of Payday 2. He's just that smart and influential. In Payday the Heist, Dallas was actually the assault character, but since in Payday 2 he's the much more support-themed mastermind, I took inspiration from the mastermind tree when I started assembling this build and stuck with the support class from Payday the Heist. My primary is the AM Car 4, as in the Car 4 I only run in the mornings. The gun from Payday the Heist more closely resembles the AM car, but I'm not about to do that to myself, so I opted for the Car 4. On this Car 4, I've added the long barrel, tactical compensator, an accuracy boost, the EMO foregrip, an LED combo, the rubber grip, the thrust lower receiver, a speed pull mag, a -1 sight, the war-torn stock, and the lightweight upper receiver to end up with a greatly stable, very accurate, light-ish rifle with a snappy reload and good reserves. My secondary stems more from the support role. I've gone ahead and picked the Compact 5. Hilariously, due to damage calculation differences between the 2 games, the MP5 in Payday 2 is over 30 times stronger than the one in Payday the Heist. And that's entirely fun fact. I just thought you'd like to know that back in the first game, weapons did like 1 to 3 damage a shot due to lower base enemy. Okay, what the Compact 5 here has a tactical compensator, the enlightened foregrip, a compact laser module, as I don't really need any stability from any other laser, the straight mag, a -1 sight, and literally any stock. Even no stock works, just you'll have 100 stability no matter what, so concealment helps nothing, pick whatever. If it looks fun, put it on there. When it comes to the mob, the baseball bat and the Molotov are 2 of the biggest, most effective tools when you're on a budget and trying to rough up some family business. They are also on the Deadliest Warrior page for the Mafia, so I went ahead and picked them. Our perk deck is Crew Chief, which gives minor boosts here and there, but its biggest claim to fame is its static amount of damage reduction. 8% to start off with and 8% more for having a hostage. Not only that, but when within medium range of enemies, that was the hardest sentence of my frickin' life, you receive 6% less damage and receive up to... Oh wait, Payday multiplies its perks for whatever reason. You receive around 25% more max health and a whole bunch of stamina with each hostage tied down. For whatever reason, because of the medium range thing, you also need to have Underdog aced. I just need to point that one out right now. Because, yeah, Payday's code is a mess. Payday 3, please don't have code like this, thank you. This will pair well with our skills, and speaking of, my core skills start with Aced Combat Doctor and Inspire, because Mastermind, obviously. With Aced Forced, Friendship, Joker, and Partners in Crime to give us a ton of bonus health and even more damage absorption. We then head over to Enforcer for Aced Underdog to make Crew Chief actually work. It's kind of like Sociopath in that it relies on the same math as Underdog. Again, Payday skill system, borked. Payday 3, please have better skill system, thank you. We then have Ace Die Hard and Basic Bullseye to get our armor up and running more often. Then over in the Oppressor tree, we have Ace Steady Grip, Surefire, Lock and Load, and Body Expertise, all to keep our Compact 5 and Car 4 running at maximum power as often as possible. These guys, and then in Fugitive, I have aced 9 Lives, Up You Go, and Bloodthirst just to keep my reloads nice and swift no matter what. Basic Swan Song is more insurance than anything. If I end up going down when I'm heading out to revive someone, it gives me a New York minute to get blasting away at the horde of enemies that took them out and get them back up. You could use these 3 skill points to speed up armor recovery if you wanted, or ace one of the basic skills. I wanted a bit of a backup plan if things went south, especially since I'm playing the role of our Inspirer. Lightweight Ballistic Vest, 2 deck bags, Dallas time, and it's alright. The hostages help keep our armor from breaking, but compared to Maniac, it's a very small amount of damage reduction. Maybe I'm just not doing it right? I don't know. As a support, you're going to be a little bit on the softer side, but with 2 automatic guns, you have a decent amount of firepower and have little to no chance of running dry unless you really need to hold out. Inspire down players, rack up a convert and some hostages ASAP, and keep yourself safe and you'll be golden. Crew Chief isn't a great perk deck, but it works well enough as a support option. If you run this build without the Dallas theming, just grab Gambler or Tag Team. It's a bit more on the good side. Seeing how Dallas got the support role from Chains, it makes sense that Nick, our resident enforcer and the first Payday member to be an ex-Army Heister, would get the assault role from the heist. And that focused on fast, furious, loud, and proud. Chains doesn't like being pushed around. He became a mercenary after leaving the military in order to pursue fortune and glory, and it's very fortunate that I've settled old Nick with the glorious Brenner 21, based on the HK 21, which in and of itself is based on the G3. I'm not, apparently every pronunciation for GEWEHR is correct, but the one I used, we're calling it the G3. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, digression over. You can stop writing your feisty comment about my pronunciation of the German rifle. The Brenner 21 is one of the Heist's best rifles and one of Payday 2's best LMGs with both high damage and good stability versus its competitor, the RPK. When it comes to my Brenners, I like to take the long barrel, a tactical or competitor's compensator, a tactical in this case, the Lion bipod, an accuracy boost, an LED combo, and the ergo grip. What we end up with is actually rather accurate and decently stable, but with a lot less recoil than the RPK. Well, that's fine and good, the Brenner has a long reload. Luckily, the Mark 11 is filling in when we need a fast, snappy sidearm. Based on the Mac 10, the Mark 11... Wait, what was that? No, you're freaking kidding me. Jump cut, there's been a schism. See, in Payday the Heist, it was the Mark 11 based on the Mac 10, but in Payday 2, it's the Mark 10 based on the Mac 11. Fortunately, though, they're remarkably similar, with the Mark 11 firing at 909 rounds a minute, with the Mark 10 firing at an even 1,000. While the Mark 11 more closely resembles the Cobra M10, which would be Jacket's piece in Payday 2, the Mark 10 is trying to emulate what made the Mark 11 great and improve upon it, so... Alright, we got that. Okay, good. On the Mark 10, we've got a tactical compensator, an accuracy boost to the full auto lock, the handguard, an LED combo, and the custom frame if you don't like gray boxy boxes, 86 the frame if you do, the extended speed pull mag, a -1 sight, and the stock. 100 stability, pretty good accuracy, loads of bullets, one of the game's snappiest reloads. It's all here. I love the Mark 10, and this is why. Chains is ex-military, so I thought it was only fair we give him a military melee weapon. I considered one of the knives, or even one of the machetes, but I figured the good old riot baton would fit Chains, and, you know, it's visually interesting, so... On the topic of throwables, I've gone ahead and given him the old frag grenade. I mean, this guy hated being bossed around. It's not that he hated the military. He'd probably want military weapons. He probably would have stolen some. He probably did steal some on his way out. Who knows? Muscle is the perk deck of the Enforcer, and it gives you a whole lot of health. 80% more health, to be exact, which means 414 base health with 3.5% regen every 5 seconds. Not only that, but weapons have a chance to scare enemy units. In particular, LMGs have a 10% chance per round to make frightened of the law enforcement, which means we can sweep fire around to get people to stop shooting at me and make a move. Having this much health is insane, and I love the insanity. As for skills, surprise, it's a whole lot of Enforcer. Aced Underdog for a damage boost and absorption ability. Aced Die Hard, Bullseye, Shock and Awe, and Basic Iron Man to beef up our armor beefier than all beef burger. Aced Extra Lead and Fully Loaded for extra ammo and grenade regeneration. Aced Lock and Load, Surefire, and Body Expertise once again to make the most of our fully automatic arsenal. Shockproof Basic to stop us from getting ruined by tasers. And Up You Go and Bullseye Ace to keep us off the ground and our gun loaded. Run whatever armor, but you know what armor I'm already running. And yeah, bring ammo bags unless you really need a doctor bag, but you know, the Infamy 7 level 64 is already bringing a basic doc bag, so bring ammo bags. I honestly think this build works really well. It's by no means perfect. Just don't step out of cover very often. If you're going to step out of cover, make it badass. Mow down the entire enemy group. Just clear them out. Otherwise, stick to cover and use your bonus health for things like fetching bags or making it to objectives. The Brenner is mostly good at large-scale crowd control, taking out big swarms of enemies rushing the scene, like in Reservoir Dogs Day 2, Day 1, Garnet Boutique, whereas the Mark 10 is good for taking out a few guys, getting out, and getting back in a flash. You can pretty much use this for most of the heist and pull out the big gun for big moments, and you'll be pretty good. As for ammo bags, they're not really there for you. The ammo pickup on both these guns is honestly pretty great. Place them down whenever your team needs them, preferably somewhere you can bunker down for a long time, and use fully loaded ace to regenerate throwables. Don't be scared to go a bit mad with the grenades. You have them for a reason, and you're getting them back for a reason. Assault translates rather well into Payday 2, and Chains' perk deck and backstory help pull it all together. But what about Hoxton? He has a character pack in this game, so we'll, again, talk about that sometime soon, but he had a role in Payday the Heist, so... oh, wait, now it's Houston in 2. Houston, Hoxton, whatever. Jam them together. Hoxton, Houston, who cares? Hoxton in the Heist was the group's sharpshooter, and Houston in 2 is the group's ghost. Oh, that's gonna be rough. Hoxton was an underground boxer and liquor store robber in his youth, and after being busted in a heist somewhere between 2012 and 2013, he was replaced with Houston, Dallas's younger brother. Houston's a very serious heister who takes his job very seriously. He maintains the crew's van. He's very keen and sharp-witted, and he can count out 3 minutes on the dot no matter what and does not drink, opting for sodas instead to stay about his wits.
Don't act dumb.
As for Ghost, he relies on quick thinking and ample dexterity to perform jobs with ease, even having a plethora of stealth options. Okay, we get it! As for Houston, I kinda leaned a bit harder towards the role he filled in the heist, the sharpshooter, though there is some ghosting happening here, believe me. Let's start with the M308, the sharpshooter's weapon of choice in Payday the Heist, based on the Springfield M1A, the civilian variant of the M14, which is in and of itself a modernization of the M1 Garand, which ended up in Payday 2 as the Gallant rifle. Small world. The M308 isn't something I'd often call concealable, but we can make this work with the right skills and setup. I've gone ahead and added a bigger and better suppressor, a concealment boost, though you could use the medium suppressor if you lack the boost. This thing will well overshoot 100 accuracy, don't worry about it. A single fire lock, a scope mount, the magnifier gadget if you want to take more precise long-range shots, a laser if not, a -1 sight either way, and the Abraham body. The gun should be at 9 concealment, which is perfect provided you bring a pocket-sized Bronco. You could pack the B9S if you really want 34 concealment, but you're left with the Brunetti, kind of a pathetic sidearm. I would say stick with the cut-down Bronco unless you really know what you're doing. How cut down? It's just got a flash hider, a +3 concealment boost, the wooden grip, the pocket surprise barrel, and the slimline body. And we've got a relatively concealable, surprisingly powerful, fun little addition to make sticking around nice and alive all the easier. I had a hard time reading that sentence. It's not even late yet. I'm running incendiary grenades because, mostly because I can, and they help stun enemies if not kill them. And seeing how Hoxton was an underground boxer for a long time, Houston is honoring his years in the ring by coming in with his bare hands. With 16 Bloodthirst stacks, you can kill in one punch, which I would rate in 8 out of 10. Wait, this isn't that video. We are running the Suit and Rogue, Houston's perk deck of choice, which offers a flat 45% more dodge, alongside some armor piercing and 80% faster weapon swaps. It's a very simple and easy to understand perk deck that does one thing and does it very well. For our core skills, we're grabbing Aced Quick Fix and Uppers and Mastermind to start off with. Quick Fix lets us place first aid kits very quickly. We'll have 14 of them via Uppers, and if we're standing next to one, we run down to 0 health, then we are instantly picked back up at the cost of our first aid kit, no bleed outs spent. That makes working objectives and vantage points nice and easy for an otherwise squishy dodge class. We also have Aced Stable Shot and Aggressive Reload with basic ammo efficiency to bolster our effectiveness with the M308 and keep us from running this thing's ammo out quicker. Then over in Enforcer, I've Shock and Awe and Bullseye, which will help make the suit a more effective piece of armor with faster regen, and a quarter of it gets filled with every headshot. Over in Technician, under Oppressor, I've taken Aced Steady Grip, Fire Control, and then Basic Surefire and Lock and Load to ensure we still have some firepower when on the move. Then over in Ghost, we have Aced Duck and Cover, Inner Pockets, and Basic Shockproof, alongside Aced Optical Illusions, Low Blow, and High Value Target, with Basic the Professional, all to help our dodge chance and weapon effectiveness in some form. And then finally in Fugitive, we have Aced Equilibrium, 9 Lives, and Bloodthirst, running out this build with a small handful of helpful survivability and pistoleering skills. As Houston, the rogue sharpshooter on the loose, our primary goal is to stick behind or away from your team. Draw very little fire while dishing out a lot of it. I'm glad to report that with only moderately conservative usage, I was able to keep a mag on hand with the M308 pretty much all the time. And I could just whip that out when a group of enemies or a bulldozer needed it, and the Bronco was able to stay loaded and ready for action whenever and wherever. Go for headshots and pick out targets that could be a threat, most notably special units or a cluster of enemies on the move. If you start taking armor or health damage, quickly get behind cover and let your armor and dodge chains recover themselves. Use your incendiaries to take out large parties of regular enemy units as well. That's important. You have 6 of these things. Use each of them in a mission. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. The greatest asset with this build is its mobility. It makes you an excellent bag mover and objective activator. Remember, A-stoppers can kick in and use a first aid kit in place of a down, and you can keep doing whatever you were doing. If you're fixing a drill, put a first aid kit on the ground, fix that drill. If you get knocked down to 0 health, you instantly just slurp the first aid kit through like osmosis, and you're fixed, you're healed, and you're still fixing a drill. Does this build have issues? Yeah, absolutely. For sure. In missions that require a lot of bunkering down and a lot less movement, the rogue is a cheetah in the cage with nowhere to go. You can't rely on your mobility anymore, and you're just a really squishy, anemic sniper with a really terrible sniper rifle. If you're playing a mission like Henry's Rock or Boiling Point, protect the sharpshooter if you have one, or if you are the sharpshooter, then play it safe, or you play any other build. Throw a bunch of random stuff together, you've got a build. Don't bring this to places it can't handle, I guess. I guess that's really the moral with this entire game. Oh well. Dodge has had a rough time over the history of the game, with big ups and downs all throughout. That said, this rogue build is pretty simple, and its ability to take out most enemies in a single bullet should not be underestimated. Crits give you so much flexibility when dealing with special units. I can't stress that enough. It's great. I mean, given the weirdness of combining Hoxton from the Heist and Houston from 2, I think Houston is something satisfactory. And now we can finally talk about Wolf. Wolf's skill tree in Payday the Heist was Technician, and accessing it meant buying the Wolfpack DLC. To see the rest of this video, input your payment option now. Alright, enough of that joke. That was actually kind of a pathetic joke. Wolf plays the same role in Payday 2, complete with a whole new bag of tricks. Wolf's DLC in Payday the Heist brought the AK rifle, strike machine pistol, the GL40 grenade launcher, and the sentry gun to the game. Now, Payday 2 sentries would be a nice addition to this build and a lot of fun to pack, if this was update 100 and no other point in the game's history. So I've had to take a bit of a different approach to depicting Wolfie, as you'll see, but first, let's meet the man himself and the hardware we're packing. Wolf Andersson is a Swedish game developer who founded Grin with his brother, Bo. Yes, this is actually the character's real backstory. Wolf is literally a self-insert. Anyways, Grin was under contract to make a Square Enix mobile game, but Square refused to pay the brothers, bankrupting their company. Wolf then founded Overkill and later founded 10 Chambers to make some fun and frantic 4-player co-op action shooters such as Payday and GTFO. That's the new one, GTFO. What a name. But Wolf went mad. The loss of his company right at the height of the economic recession drove him insane, and he fled to the US to grab a gun, as one does, and become a criminal, as he felt he had no other option. Oh, I used to love Wolf. He was my absolute favorite character in Payday the Heist. He just had such a cool personality, and he was a Swede. He wasn't English or American, he was a Swede. But in Payday 2, he's one of my least favorites. I've expressed this in my ranking my favorite Heisters video, but it's just he's literally Ulf, and Ulf left the company prior to update 100 after a falling out with Bo over the direction Payday 2 was headed. They refused to recast the character at this stage, and they won't retire Wolf, so instead he gets new lines by YouTube pooping old lines to fit new gameplay. It's a sad affair, but we really can't be too down. We're right in the home stretch. This is the last of our 4 classic Heisters. Let's jump right into the fray and talk about the AK rifle. The AK is, obvious enough, based on the AK. Specifically the AK-74, which is a modernization of the AK-47. Between the 47 and the 74 and like a million other variants, the Kalashnikov has seen 70 years of use, and while the 47 started life competing with the M1 STG-44, the 74 to this day still competes with the M4 worldwide in many fields, and that's reflected excellently with the in-game version. Unlocked at level 1, the first unlock in the game and 3 levels earlier than the Car 4, the AK rifle offers an absurd degree of customizability, much like its car competitor, offering a bit less concealment and a slightly slower reload, but a faster rate of fire, a bit more accuracy, and it's all around a cheaper option for starting players. The AK car mod pack has kept the AK rifle competitive even into Mayhem, Deathwish, and even Death Sentence, with a myriad of barrel types, stocks, and more. For the AK in this build, we're opting for the modern barrel, the tactical compensator, The scope mount, a key mod rail, a laser of choice as we should already be at 100 stability with our skills. The aluminum grip, a speed pull, any sight of choice. I always opt for a -1 to keep my field of view nice and wide when I'm aiming. And then we have the classic stock. It's a little bit of a mess, but this AK is going to have a snappy reload with an excellent stability stat and good enough accuracy for encounters that stick to medium range or closer. You can, of course, extend out there, but you're entering spray and pray territory. We'd rather just do one or the other. As much as I'd like to make my secondary, the Wolfpack's strike pistol, it's a bit too unwieldy for regular use, with narrow ammo reserves and a blistering rate of fire to the point of insanity. I love the gun. It's one of the few firearms in the game that can exceed 8,000 damage per second. Insert plug for 2 different overkill skill builds here, but we're going to want something a bit more practical. Enter the Crosskill, based on the absolutely iconic M1911 pistol. The Crosskill is honestly one of the few firearms I actually really like in real life, not just in the games. It's so sleek with so much history behind it. It's good. In Payday the Heist, the Crosskill sat right between the Brunetti 9's speed and accuracy and the Bronco 44's raw stopping power. And that's more or less the same role it's got here in Payday 2, fitting into what I consider a medium pistol tier. Usually right in the ballpark between 60 and 90 damage per shot with decent accuracy and a moderate magazine capacity. For this Crosskill, I've opted for the Aggressor Compensator, the Laser, a Bling Grip, the magazine with a Meritude, Marksman Sights, and the downright beautiful long vented slide. The Crosskill is a very reliable weapon that has proven its worth over years of use. It does enough damage and carries enough rounds to handle most targets. It truly is a good all-rounder. Payday the Heist said it best. I stick by what Payday the Heist says. Also, Crosskill is just... Wolf's perk deck in Payday 2 is Armorer, which is another simple one. It offers 35% more armor to players with 10% faster regen, and should your armor break, you become invincible for 2 seconds once every 15. That can act as a good escape plan if you need cover or if your cover sucks. We're going to want a lot of armor to make this perk deck worth it, which can only mean we're getting to use the ICTV again. With our skill setup, we have almost 100 more armor than the CTV and over 150 more than the light ballistic vest. We will need movement speed skills to balance this out, but we should be ready to concede that we're not going to be the most mobile man out there. For my melee, I opted for the Alabama Razor, literally due to the Reservoir Dogs trailer, and our throwable this time is me Dynamite due to the inventor being a Swede as well. I like Dynamite more than the usual grenade because cops can't shoot out of the air, which, I mean, otherwise it's identical to the frag grenade, it's just it won't get shot out of the air, so you won't blow yourself up like an idiot. Everything else out of the way, we can finally get to talking about Wolf's skills. We are starting in Enforcer with aced Die Hard, Bullseye, and Iron Man with basic Shock and R to keep the ICTV nice and tanky. Then I've taken a Stop-In Technician for aced Hardware Expert, Drill Sergeant, and Kickstarter to beef up our drills. We're not investing in sentries. Again, they've really had a fall from grace since Update 100, and now they're too much of an investment in skill points and effort to be worth it. But instead, we've got a Steady Grip Fire Control and basic Surefire with Lock and Load for our AK. Then in Ghost, I've grabbed Shockproof, because duh. And then lastly, in Fugitive, we have all the aced Gunslinger skills except for Akimbo and the aced variant of Trigger Happy to make our Crosskill the best it can be, and aced Up You Go rounds off this build with some bleed out abilities to keep us fighting longer. All around, Wolf skills make him our tank, spraying lead downrange in 2 flavors, high accuracy Apple with the Crosskill and max stability Strawberry with the AK. And progressing objectives with his sheer amounts of armor and very efficient drills means Wolf's kinda got a really good place built out. The Technician probably plays closest to the Enforcer, with a healthy supply of armor and bullets to keep fighting for quite a while. Before readying up, check to see what your team needs more, a couple more knockback charges or a bit more ammo, and pack accordingly. While you might not have an ace deployable, you do have the most tricked out drills you can get along with the strongest armor in the game. Technicians play a very key role in keeping heists flowing, so look out for your fellow teammates and stay active and stay at those objectives. You're not very mobile, but you are very durable, which makes you a very capable contender for clashing with crooked cops. And there we have it. 4 builds relating to the classic crews of both Payday games. We've gotten a lot of new faces since. We've brought back some old ones too, but no matter how far Payday goes in the future, there's no escaping its roots. And I do think we have to pay a little bit of respect to them every now and again. Here's to Payday the Heist being such a great game to play with friends and spawning one of the most fun game sequels I've ever played. Here's to Overkill for making this happen in the first place. Here's to all of you who let me do things like this and make money off of it, because that's honestly incredible. And till next time, I'll see you around. Hey, I did another really long video, like the Doom one that almost nobody watched, but now it's Payday themed. And you got to the end, so thank you. Patreon and social media links are in the description. Thank you. I cannot say thank you enough. Thank you.